Hi, my name is Michael G, and have another video for you today. And this time, it's enablers replace their narcissist with a covert narcissist, which you can also know as a therapist. Now, this is a pretty bold statement. You know that shouldn't be right. You go to a therapist, and you're thinking you're going to the therapist to heal yourself from whatever happened with yourself and the narcissist, but that's not what usually happens. And most of the therapists that you're going to find were actually, were actually in relationships with a narcissist or psychopath, and then now all of a sudden are going for this big quest to help other people. So the person barely can put themselves together, and now that person is going to be helping you. And a lot of the therapists are in that boat. They're in that boat, and you can also see that because a lot of the ways of them are these fluffy. You have to expand or all this. No, just no. It really has nothing to do with all this. I'd call it flower power mentality, making the fluffy bunny rabbit. That's not how this works. When you're in the relationship with a narcissist or psychopath I'm going to give you 1 year. If you are there for longer than 1 year, or if you're with the therapist greater than 1 year, so if you're if it's greater than 1 year, then what ends up happening is you are either the covert narcissist or the enabler for the narcissist. And this is the number one thing that people have to digest. Number one thing. Because by the time 365 days have passed, at that moment, being in the relationship with the narcissist, the person in that relationship had to have said yes at least 1,000 times. At least 1,000 times to make the relationship work. So you are not in a position to say that you're the victim. That is not the case. You are not a position to say you're the survivor. Okay? Now, why is that so important? If your therapist has in their story the word that they were a victim and then survivor, dump them. You are not going to be with someone that is going to bring you outside of the problem. All you did was replace your narcissist with the therapist who's now going to give you what you need. So now watch what happens. This is the relationship between you, your narcissist relationship, psychopath relationship. This is you. So now if you manage to break this and you get a therapist, now what the therapist does is the therapist tries to raise your head up, and then they take the position of the covert narcissist. So they are they're actually making you a narcissist. They're going to bring your head upward, but they're not going to do it and solve the problem. They are going to do it is now you're going to become the witch hunt. Now you're going to become the new narcissist, and your thing is, I'm going to go get them. I'm going to go get them. I'm going to help the world. I'm going to rid them of the narcissist. Let me tell you. This is my nice little thing, okay? This is space. It's time. This is future. Now. The line is now. Past. Okay? This, above this line, is known as the visible universe. Below this line is the invisible. When we're talking about a narcissist, we're talking about someone who's in the visible realm. Okay, when you're talking about an enabler or a covert narcissist, you're talking about the invisible realm. These people are hard to spot. Every time you see a balloon narcissist in the air, there is somebody either intentionally gassing that person up to take resources from them, or they're doing it blindly because their head was taken away from them. So the people that, if you're dealing with narcissists, you got to get rid of the enablers. You got to find the enablers. And the people that usually go to the therapists are the enablers. The enablers are the ones that go to therapists because they're honing themselves. The narcissist usually doesn't care. I mean, they'll collapse. Another good example. Let's talk about space. You know, you'll probably find this easily. There's a woman who she was giving a I don't know. There was some kind of orientation or some kind of. She's on a podium. She's talking. She just came back from space. While she's on the podium, she collapses. And why does she collapse? Because when you're in space, right, you lose muscle density, you lose muscles and bone density. When you come back down on Earth, you can't hold yourself up. And you collapse. When the narcissist comes down and they come back to their body, if they're collapsing, they're in terror. They're in terror. And immediately, some enabler is going to help them get back up. Because this is the evil. The evil. We want to break the evil. We want to break the lies. A lot of times, one of the things that the therapists do is they kind of they let you speak all the time. And I said this in other videos, and sometimes I try and reword this in another video so that it might click. The number one thing that you do with your therapist is you talk. That's the number one thing. Everybody loves to talk. When you talk to the therapist, okay, you're talking to the therapist, this information is tainted in light of your distortion. Whatever you say to the therapist, and when the therapist asks a question, your response is also going to be a lie. So it's tainted information, it's a lie. Because it's in light of where this person is when they're saying it. If you are in the enabler, if you're the enabler to the narcissist, again, you are talking in the realm of being underground and you can't see. Your head is pushed into your torso. If you're the narcissist talking, then you're going to want to make the therapist like you. A narcissist in front of a therapist spends most of its time to try and get the therapist to like them. So, the number one thing your therapist does is asks questions. And like I had said in other videos, that is the absolute, positively, the worst thing you could do with someone who is not connected to their torso, because they're going to give you incomplete information, and when they give you that incomplete information, they're lying. And the more that they lie, they take the healthy body and they push upward. Lies pushes your head upward. Okay? The more that they lie, they're going to leave their body. The more that they do, they go underground. So the masculine or the narcissist head, when it lies, it goes up. When the feminine or the enabler lies, it goes down. So this information from this position, whatever your therapist asks you, is a lie. This information, whatever your therapist asks you and you answer, it's a lie. You can't ask questions. Because the one thing that the enablers do is they love telling the story over and over and over again. Like a bad breakup. If a woman has a bad breakup with a guy, everybody in her sphere of influence hears that story. And every time that they tell this incomplete information, they're kind of putting on themselves the identity of the story that's a lie. They don't realize what they've added to the relationship to create this problem. And here's another thing. So what's the difference between love and enabling? You know, what's the difference? How do you know if you're enabling or it's love? If it's enabling, if you're enabling something, you're most likely going to receive some sort of violence. Violence or pushback. And you're not going to get to better. And it'll be repetitive. It'll be repetitive. And you'll be part of a vicious cycle. Vicious, I owe you a cycle. I know my spelling sucks, but I can't do more than, 2-3 things at the same time. So what's the difference with the love? The love brings back things like respect, appreciation, peace. Enabling brings back violence, pushback, and a vicious cycle. And an enabling is exhausting. It's exhausting. Our sense of, or our identity, our sense of I is not really the correct thing. It's not really. We really don't have an I. Most people, when they think of I, they think this is the I. No. Your I has to consider your witness, your spirit witness. This is more of a we, not I. And I can prove this to you. Listen to who says the word I more when they're discussing something. When every sentence out of their mouth says, oh, I did this and I did this, or I think this should happen, and I was doing this. When you start hearing that, you can tell that this I is a part. It's not necessary. You don't have to say I, or written. Look at when people write something, read what they write. See in 3 sentences how many times they say the letter I or the word I. This will tell you. This will give you the evidence that it's not only about I, because these are the same people where the inflated ego. Inflated ego. It's a false sense of I. It's never really I. It is your head and the spirit within in your torso. It is the masculine part of you and the feminine part of you with the spirit. This is the true identity of what we're supposed to be. And if this person has a magnified I, then they're going to be saying I all the time. And then there's going to be somebody else down here who's going to be underground supporting that I. A lot of the therapists, what they do is give you a false sense of I because they listen to you. If you want to work with therapy sessions or something, my suggestion, you can take whatever you want. My number one thing I tell people is draw. Draw 3 pictures and reflect on them. Because anytime you draw, it's not coming from you. It's not coming from your head as you draw 3 pictures. It's coming from 1, 2, and 3. The spirit within. The head, the torso, and the spirit. That's why you're drawing 3 pictures. The first picture is your head. The second picture is your feminine torso. And the third picture is the spirit. This is what you do. When you draw, you will know more about yourself than you would going to a therapist for a year. That's number 1. Number 2, motion. You have to be in motion. Move. Walk. Swim. If you're in the head all the time, then you need to swim. What is no good? Lifting weights. Lifting weights is the worst thing you can do when you're trying to get past a traumatic experience or something that happened in your life. Because when you lift the weights, all that does is strengthens the body so you can take more punishment. Strengthens the body so you can take more punishment. Motion is great. Walk, not run, more walk, swim, exercise, but not heavy weights. And draw. These 2 things alone will do wonders for you. And here's the third secret one. Shut up. Shut up. Don't tell people the story as if that's exactly what happened, because you don't know exactly what happened, because it takes 2 people to tango. And if you're with a person for more than a year, most likely you're 50% of the problem. You're 50% of the problem. Draw, motion, shut up. Because you don't know what you're saying yet. You have to give it time. As you draw and you're in motion, then you're going to get some ideas. A light bulb is going to go on in your head. When that light bulb goes on in your head, that's what you're going to talk about then. Don't immediately talk about exactly what happened. Because it's most likely it's going to suck, and the person you're going to tell, they don't want to hear it. And if you tell a therapist, then you're paying someone to lie, to take, so that you could give them your lie. Draw, get in motion, shut up. Talking it out doesn't work. And here's something really interesting. The enabler loves to talk with this narcissist. They love to have that discussion, to tell them how you feel. Listen, if you're there for 1 year, let me tell you the secret. They don't care. It's not going to do any good. Have known many enablers. Many. Ones that were thrown down flights of stairs, punched in the face in their relationships. But they stayed. They tried to make it work. They took that chicken poop and they tried to make chicken salad out of it. Yep. Unbelievable. It doesn't work. If you're the enabler trying to talk to the narcissist and you're there for 1 year and you haven't made headway in 1 year, you're never going to make headway. Because you're keeping that person in that heightened state. Yeah. And what your therapist does now is so that they can make the money on you, they kind of put you as, they recreate that relationship, but now they put your head above. So you're going to have an incomplete healing. All you're doing is flipping the script. You're flipping the script. Now you are the abused, you will become the abuser. Guaranteed. You have to really look at yourself in the mirror and see what you contributed. Now, there's also, again, remember in my last video, these people, when they imagine horror. All right, they imagine horror. So even when they did something and they're trying to imagine what they did to cause where they're at now, then they cripple themselves by pushing themselves down even further, because they say, oh, I did this, and now it's like you're descending further into hell. Okay. And the most important, I'm going to put it back on top again, is truth. When you draw, when you're drawing, the truth is in the drawing. Truth. Look for the truth. And it's not always going to be pretty. Motion. Move your body. Shut up. Don't tell everyone and their mother what you experienced, because what you experienced might not be the reality. It's like the woman the older woman coming home and says, oh, the person waved at me when I cut them off. They were so nice. They were waving with one finger. So somehow that story wasn't the truth when she said they're waving at me. How nice. That was not the reality of what happened. But she couldn't see it. Don't be the clown woman getting that makeup on your face. Or a man putting, it could be masculine too. Don't be that clown. Don't tell a story of something that you think happened, but you don't realize that your contribution is part of that. If you're with this person for over a year, you can't blame them anymore. Because whatever correction they needed to make wasn't done. Another thing too, there was a video, and you can find this video, and this is Elvis. Now, I talked about Elvis another time, but Elvis was with Priscilla Presley. Priscilla. Okay, he was older. She was like 14. Priscilla was like 14 years old. In this video, she's talking about her relationship. Now, this is when she had blonde hair, so this must have been in the 80s or something, or 90s. She was talking about that she was very cautious in everything that she said and did to Elvis. She was the enabler par excellence. If you're like a rock star or somebody that's like famous or something like that, everybody around you will be like Priscilla Presley. They will conform into your eye. That's why a lot of people that are CEOs, they don't need to go to a therapist, because as far as they're concerned, they're fine. They're perfect. Because everybody tells them they're perfect. Because everybody around them says yes. 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 It keeps them in this perpetual bubble. The Bible talks about you'll be cursed in the fields, cursed here. Everywhere you go, you're going to be cursed. Everywhere this person goes, they're cursed. They're living in a bubble of lies. A bubble of lies. And every one of the liars are looking to cash in on that person. The hot guy that every girl wants, she's looking to be with him, so she will bow down to him and lose her identity for the prize. Same thing, guys do it all the time. Guys do it when they got a really hot girl, they don't know how to act. Very attractive girl, they don't know how to act. They're not themselves. And the girls hate those guys because if a very attractive woman gets guys that they can't even, they're not in their bodies anymore, because when they see the woman, they don't see a person, they see the ideal. And then they see themselves as not able to be in the ideal, so they have to be fake. Nice guys. Let me talk about nice guys. I know we start out with therapists, but these are all intertwined with each other. Intertwined. The nice guy. Nice guy. Your therapist is nice. Isn't your therapist nice? Right? Your therapist hardly confronts you. If your therapist confronts you about something, there's probably gigantic things that can confront you, and they only confront you on that. They let all this slide. You know? And they do this because this is part of the therapy, so that, you can get a foothold on so you can be balanced. No, it doesn't work. You can't lie to the person to bring them back into the truth. You can't do that. You have to start with truth. Don't talk to them. Remember earlier I had said don't talk? Just shut up. The therapist, don't ask questions. And you're going to probably go to therapists now, and now when you listen to them, then you'll all of a sudden you'll be like, oh my goodness. If a therapist asks you questions, who's answering? The person with the distorted reality is answering. We all know people that you've told them 1,000 times, that guy's not good for you, that girl's not good for you. They don't listen because they have a distorted reality. Then later they get into a bad situation with that relationship and it goes to pot. And then they try and tell you, oh, I can't believe this guy was like that. But everybody told you that. Everybody told you that. So this distorted reality person, who everybody told them exactly what they're going to experience, is now going to tell somebody else based on that distorted reality. Be very careful. If you think you're going to get better, I don't know. I don't think people are going to get better if they have enablers helping them stay in their garbage. You have to get out of the problem. You can't recreate it and just be the other end of it. You can't be now like the new narcissist that's going to go get the new enabler who now all of a sudden now is going to go get the narcissist. We're going to go get them. We're going to expose them. You know what? You go do that. As you expose them, you're the new narcissist now. The enabler becomes the refined narcissist after. The narcissist hunter. That's what they become, the narcissist hunter. But you're not going to cheat space and time. You're not going to cheat it. If you're going to be hunting the narcissists now, that's you now. You become the narcissist. A covert narcissist